it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. Now, as you know, I've had difficulty since New Year, especially with my right hand, and I've not been able to do any sewing and certainly wouldn't have gone anywhere near my rotary cutter. So I've been looking at alternative methods for cutting, and I spent some money. I bought something from eBay from a trusted seller, and I spent about £70 getting this delivered. This is a Fiskars Rotary Cutter and Ruler in one, and I bought the long and narrow. It says 6 by 24 Rotary Cutter. They do make it in a 12 by 12 size, and I'm only going to use it for fabric. Come with me while I unbox it and I'll tell you what I think. Now, the important thing is I'm not running a business and I'm not on commission, so my review is my honest opinion. Let's go into the kitchen and see if I can get it out the box in the first place. It doesn't look easy. Normally, when I'm cutting my fabric, I use this 6.5 by 24 inch ruler, use a dumbbell to weight it down, and use my Clover rotary cutter. Now, because of a problem I've got with my health at the moment, it's not safe for me to use the rotary cutter, so I'm going to use my new tool, which is the Fiskars Rotary Cutter. Let me open it and show you what the difference is. The thing is that my rotary blade on this one is 28mm. The other one is a larger blade. I think it's 45mm. This was a considered purchase. I paid just under £70 for this to be delivered to me at home. It's slightly narrower. This is 6 by 24 rather than 6.5 by 24, and I need to take that into account when I'm cutting. But this measures and cuts in one. The difference in this is I've actually got a more ergonomic handle and it's spring loaded. So I'm hoping that that in itself is going to make the difference in me being able to cut the fabric versus not being able to safely use the rotary cutter. Let me open this and see what I think. Fiskars is a Finnish company, been around for centuries, and there are instructions on this. There are YouTube videos showing how to use this correctly. There is a very good guide here. The first thing to note is there's a good handle to hold onto or to hook it up. It's clearly marked in white and in black, and then there are score lines across that show angles. When we look at the instructions on it, I'm going to the instructions at the top, and this is in English. I think I'll photograph that and then you can look at it, pause to look at it. You know, I work in my kitchen and I'm on the worktop, which is a good working height and it's level, and I'm using a self-healing mat. Now, I've been able to put the end up and it stops just at my tiles at the top, which is great because I really don't want this to move. Normally I put my dumbbell in, and I think I'm going to do that anyway. So I'm going to place the dumbbell like I would previously, but not in my way. I'll put it that way, shall I? The whole point of this is that this is spring loaded, and I should be able to push down and then push across with my hand over the top of it. I'm trying to get a clean edge down the edge of this shirt fabric as I cut it. Let me see. Unboxing. You can see that there's a little plastic protector on that. I'll leave that on for a moment just in case it had to go back, but I think you can see that the blade is protected where it is in its normal position. It's only when I push down that that blade would come in contact to the fabric. Now, the grip on the back of this, I don't know that I would trust would be strong enough to hold the fabric in place. I'm going to use my dumbbell as well. I'm cutting white fabric, so it's important that I see my measurement lines here. And the difference in this ruler is that it's got measurements in white and in black. Now that in itself is really helpful. Let me line it up and see if I can get a clean cut line here just by pressing down and pushing along. And the answer is yes. Now that cut through that like butter. You can see I've got a little bit of buckling. That's the problem with my self-healing mat. So actually I'm pressing down a little bit to make sure it comes in contact with the fabric and the self-healing mat. And I've gone as far as I could. I couldn't progress this knob any further, so I couldn't get right underneath here because of my restrictions. It's not the restriction from this. If I pull it down slightly, I'll be able to complete that action. And let me show you how easy that was. Push down and push away from me. Now that still hasn't cut the end of the fabric, so it doesn't quite go to the end, does it? There's a stop on it there for some reason. I will have to make note of that. You can see it's cut right to the edge of this stainless steel edge here. So my fabric edge measured is there. So almost I can't see it anymore. I'm just going to take that top bit off and then I'll show you with the fabric the other way around. Meant to cut in both directions, so I'm going to try and cut this in a pulling motion. So I'm pressing down with my hand and pulling it towards me, which is something I don't normally do. I certainly wouldn't use a rotary cutter with my left hand, and actually it's a bit, yeah, it's not brilliant, but it has worked that way. That didn't hurt my hand. Holding on to the rotary cutter at the moment would have done. And I didn't need to apply that much pressure. Now this will cut up to 8 pieces of fabric at once, which is great. So let me try and see how wide I can get a piece cut. I actually need a piece of fabric 6.5 inches wide. Let's see if this will allow me to do that. Checking the distance here, because it said it's 6 by 24. It's not, it's 6.5 by 24, and if you can see I'm putting my easy rule down against the steel edge there where the blade is, and I'm getting a very accurate 6.5 inch, well, more or less. Let me just check exactly there. Let me take that out of the way. I've lined up the edge of the ruler to the edge of the fabric that I've just cut, and when I press down now on this, I'll get a strip as long as I can from this fabric that's 6.5 inches wide, which is exactly what I want. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use it from this point, and I'm using my rotary cutter in the same way. I'm going to push away from me. I always cut away from me. So let's see what happens now. I'm going to push down and push, and that was so easy, but I am aware, look how easy that is. I am aware that my muscles don't hold this in place very well. That's why I used the dumbbell, but that was incredibly easy. I'm very impressed. Wow. Let me try and cut now this into the shape that I want it and see how easy it is to manoeuvre when I'm wanting smaller pieces, not just a long piece. And I'm also just going to check with another ruler that that truly is 6.5 inches. When I test it against my easy square, yes, this is 6.5 inches. It's definitely 6.5 inches by 24 with a good carry handle on it. Let me see if I can cut this into 6.5 by 3.5 inch strips easily using this ruler. I'm cutting a man's shirt here, so as always there isn't a straight edge. I need to work from a straight edge, and I need to use the ruler edges on both straight edges. I've got my dumbbell in place. Let's see if I can do it with my left hand. Yes, I can. So when I've got problems with my right hand, I can use it with my left. I've never been left-handed in my life. I am thrilled. So now I want to cut that 6.5 inch strip in 3.5 inch rectangles. So sorry, 6.5 by 3.5. All I need to do is place the edge of the fabric against the 3.5 inch line, which is this black line here. Normally, you see with my rulers, I use additional tape just to make sure I don't veer from that. But I'm just going to try and pull that back now and see if it'll pull towards me and cut as well. So I just need to push down and pull. So there's no dragging of the fabric at all. I'm probably pushing much harder than I need to, and that's a perfect cut. Oh wow, I'm dead impressed. Perfect cut. There's no dragging of the fabric. It's cut through every single piece, so there's no little bits of strands that you've got to go back and recut from. I'm really happy with that. I'm going to go down this piece of fabric and I'm going to find some fabric and test how many thicknesses then it will cut. Now, some people cut to and from left or right, and other people I've seen using it horizontally. I will never do that. I'll only actually use this going away from me. I'm still aware that this is sharp. I'm going to test it on this. Now, this is the equivalent of quilting cotton, and I've folded this over 8 times. So let's see how easy this cuts. Okay, left hand, push down. Oh, no problem. Look at that. I'll use that as a header and a footer on my project. So impressed with this. For cutting strips, this is a game changer. For anybody with a disability, I think if you've got the money to spend on this, go out and get yourself one. Now, the other fact on this is that you can buy, and some people combine this with a Fiskars cutting mat. You don't have to. You don't have to. I've just demonstrated it on my, these are cheap and cheerful cutting mats that actually need replacing, but you don't need to. The blade, I don't know how long it says the blade will last. I think when I replace the blade, this is a 45mm blade, I'll replace them with titanium blades, and that will certainly see me out. And you can also buy these cutters and rulers in a 12 by 12 version. This is the difference now this weekend in me being able to continue with my sewing project and not. There is no way I'd have been able to do that at the moment with my hand with the rotary cutter. So from Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter, highly recommended this. I think it was almost £70, but well spent. Come back and see me soon, won't you? I'm in the middle of a flying geese project. Come and see me for that. Bye.